Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Step Chat. I am your host, Esteban Jonez, aka Steve Jones. Um, welcome for those of you that are out here. For those of you that aren't traveling right now to Ohio or already gotten to Ohio for the Tough Techs experience, I imagine viewership tonight is going to be down quite a bit because I'm assuming that a lot of our regulars are probably either on their way or already there or whatever. So whatever it is, I hope you guys have a great time. For those of you that are going, I have no doubt in my mind that Tough Techs is going to do a great job putting on the event. And so I look forward to hearing all the feedback and all the wonderful stories of reconnecting with friends and learning new stuff and everything else. So yeah, there you go. Angela, good to see you. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Thanks for joining me. But yeah, there we go. So welcome. Now that life has calmed down a little bit here at the Floaters of Solitude, I, for one, am very relieved. So again, for those of you that don't really know me, I am one half of Balloon Designers, which is the combination of myself and A to the L to the EXA Rivera, who we both reside here in Seattle area. We all run this business together. And the month of June damn near killed us. We actually had our second biggest June ever. And because June is without question our biggest month of the year, it also amounted to our second biggest month ever. So yes, it was a lot. It was a lot to keep up with. So there we go. Linda, good to see you. Thank you all for being here. Miss Stephanie, good to see you as well. Dina, there you are. Thank you. Look a little more rested. I do feel a lot more rested. Thank you. Yes. And it's weird. It's very funny too, because for the last 2 days, actually, 4th of July and the 5th of July, we left here. Murphy and I left the shop at about 3:00 in the afternoon, both days, which is strange. But what's strange is the fact that I still put in an 8-hour day on both the 4th of July and the 5th of July, and yet somehow leaving at 3:00 feels like it's an early day. No, dumbass. That's what the average person does. This is what everybody normally does. Why do you think it's so funny that I feel like, wow, I got all this time. But this whole week I've been catching up on a lot of sleep that was desperately needed, a lot of rest, and a lot of projects. One of the things that so once we got done with all the stuff, once we got done with all the stuff, one of the things I've been wanting to do is completely redo our shelving units here in the shop. The shelves that we've been using here for our balloon racks, if you ever watch like Kick It Back with Lisa Mack and you see me, the racks behind me and stuff, those plastic racks I bought over 20 years ago. And I originally bought them for what was then my Star Wars collection. And then, of course, once I gave that up and pursued the balloon stuff much more aggressively, they became my balloon racks and everything else. And so, but we've been saying for years that we need to get new shelves. We need to get bigger shelves. We need to get, we have all this stuff. And especially now with the transition between the Qualitex product going out and so many more new brands coming in and all these colors that we didn't have before, we needed a better way to try and figure out how we were going to organize it. So I took advantage of some of that added revenue that came in June, and I bought a couple grand worth of new shelving units and $500 or $600 in new containers, and or I should say additional containers, not we're going to use a lot of the same ones we had before. We just bought a bunch of new ones too. And so I am in the process of completely regutting this system. And I have a deadline of Friday. It has to be done by Friday. Because Alexa is taking some time off, and yes, I said it, but I didn't say anything beyond that. So I'm sorry, guys, if I triggered anything. Hashtag I'm not Tony. Yeah, she gets back on Friday. And so I want to have it completely done by then. Because to be fair, one of the things that all of these racks of shelving units and everything else arrived on July 3rd. And she knows me very, very well. And one of the things she said, Steve, I'm very concerned that you're very intense on this right now. And then 3 months from now, these shelves are still going to be sitting here in the middle of the shop. And she has a valid point. So I spent much of the next 2 days busting them out and getting them built, figured out, configured the way we wanted them for the containers and everything. And I'm happy to say that all 8 shelves are completely assembled. So now it's just a matter of getting the product reorganized and redone and the whole bit. Somebody's been really wound up today. He has been just completely geared up. That's part of the other problem too, because we've been leaving every day at 3:00 for the last 2 days. He's been hounding me to go ever since about 2:30. And it's like, nope, we're not going. We got step chat tonight, dude. We got stuff to do. Mr. Aragoni, good to see you, sir. One of our fabulous float crew members. Lorena, nice to see you as well from Puerto Rico. Hope Milton's doing good. I'm sure he's there with you somewhere. Linda, July 3rd and 4th, we were selling fireworks. Well, we don't do that here. Basically, the only people here in Washington State that are pretty much allowed to sell fireworks are the Native American tribes. So, yeah, so there's that. But I wouldn't want to be doing that anyway. I'm not really one of these people that wants to get into I'm not one of these folks that really wants to get into selling a bunch of other stuff. It's like, look, I do balloons and that's it. I don't do a ton of, we don't do a lot of rentals. In fact, we don't hardly do any rentals at all. We don't do any supplementary stuff. We do balloons. People, I need this backdrop and I need this sign and I need this and I need that. So we do balloons. We can do the balloon part for you. That's all we're doing. So there you go. Stacy Chase, glad the shelf project continues. So am I. Very happy. So yes. And like I said, right now, the biggest problem is that in addition to, so basically what we're doing with the shelving unit, now we'll deal with another time. So it's a matter of they're being grouped by size. They're being grouped by color. Well, not color. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. They're obviously being grouped by size. There's one rack that's 11 inch. You got another rack that's 5 inch. You got one rack that's 18, like 16, 17, 18, 19. You got another rack that's 24, 36. Now, originally the plan was to have 2 racks of 11 inch, but we realized very quickly that wasn't going to work out mathematically. So now we've got a non-round rack, which is basically 260s, 360s, 160s. And then my link racks. I got a 12-inch rack and a 6-inch rack, which now means I ultimately have an open rack. So we got to figure out what we're going to do with that. But I'm sure there's going to be a random overflow. But the other thing that we've done, there's basically 36 colors that we are committed to at this point. So like your primary colors, your colors that you're using all the time, like weekly, right? Each one of them. So all the red. Here's a great example. There's a red balloon bin for 11 inch. There's a red balloon 5-inch bin. There's an 18-inch bin. There's a 24, 36-inch bin. There'll be 260, 160, blah, blah, blah. There'll be link bins. There you go. But Imperial Red, that's a color that we use every once in a while, but not often enough. Up until now, it would go in a box up top, or it would go in a drawer, or it would go somewhere. There's like 16 different places we have product right now in the shop, which is just annoying. So now we have what's called a combo bin. So like all of the 11-inch color bins, all the 11-inch bins are going to be with red labeling. All of the 5-inch are going to be with lime green. Well, all of the combo bins will be blue. And a combo bin is basically a color like Imperial Red, a color we use occasionally. So in that one bin will be some 11-inch, some 5-inch, some 18, whatever we have, right? So that's kind of how the system goes. So we're going to have a whole bunch of those. So even though you've got like an 11-inch shelf here and a 5-inch shelf here and blah, 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 we're going to have all these combo bins all lined up along the bottom row. So that should work pretty good. So we're excited about that. Let me rephrase that. I'm excited about it. A to the L to the EXA has basically said she doesn't care how I do it as long as I'm good with it. So, okay, there you go. So let's see. How is Murphy with fireworks? Murphy He does okay. The other night, literally like a whole big cluster went off over our house, and he kind of like freaked a little bit. But he wasn't. It's not like he was outside or anything anyway. He's inside. Um, so so it really wasn't. Basically, it just means he ran to me, kind of a thing, right? Now, of course, wouldn't you know it, he's got a scheduled between midnight and 1 a.m. every night. I got to take him out long enough to go to the bathroom, because if not, we have accidents throughout the house, throughout the night. And literally, like 30 seconds before I have to take him outside, like bam, 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 all these fireworks. I'm like, oh dear God in heaven. But thankfully, they stopped long enough for me to take him out, do his business, and get back in. So there we go. Let's see, Linda, we have a retail party warehouse. Well, then, yes, you would sell a whole bunch of stuff. Tabitha Miller, hey, Steve, me, Lisa Mack, and Sherry Hatcher say, hey, I'm assuming I know where Lisa is. So I'm assuming all of you guys are in Ohio. So good to see you. Thank you all for being here. Don't you have anything better to do? Shouldn't you be having more fun? Anyway, I'm just kidding. Stacy, we have a shelf of bee balloons that are all the random overflow and odd brands. Yes. Yeah, and that's kind of along the lines of what I guess you could say this is. But one of the things that I did too is in these racks, there is no bottom shelf. There's a big open space. That open space is where a tub goes, and that tub is the overflow for that rack. So in other words, if you have too much of something and it won't all fit in the bin very safely, then it just goes down in the bottom bin, as long as we have room, right? So that's kind of like what we do there. And then I do have one bin that is strictly dedicated to discontinued colors. So like that's where my chartreuse is, which I have to admit, I'm really disappointed that chartreuse is gone, because I loved that color. That's where cranberry is, right? What's left of our tropical teal is in there, like that kind of a thing. So yeah, it's that kind of thing. So there you go. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for listening to me ramble once again. Let's get to the show, shall we? So with that being said, allow me to get to my presentation screen. We can share the window here. And yes, I know. Oh, for God's sakes. Sorry. It's giving me some weird update from Google Chrome about the fact that I'm sharing my screen. Yes, I'm aware I'm sharing my screen. All right, so let's wait, just take a moment here and make sure this all kicks in properly like it's supposed to, and then we'll get started. And there we go. So with that being said, welcome. First of all, I do want to talk about our Aloft streaming service. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the Floativerse, we have our own streaming service called Aloft, which some of you have just now figured out are the letters of float re-scrambled into another word. Thank you, Mr. Carl Woody. But yay, there you go. We're glad you picked up on that. Aloft is our streaming service. Aloft is basically just about 150, if not a little bit more than that, 150 classes, videos, podcast episodes, and more that are available to you free of charge with unlimited streaming access for either an annual fee or for a 6-month fee. So Aloft is honestly, in my opinion, if you go with the annual fee, it's $120 a year. That's $10 a month. There is no better ROI in the balloon industry right now, education-wise, than that. So there you go. So we're excited about it. Now, I'm very happy to share with all of you, as we talked about last week, our instructor for this month is the one and only Dawn Gertman, who's going to be teaching inflation plus floral equals fabulous, because you all know how I absolutely hate alliteration. But Dawn is going to be teaching this class on July 29th, which means it's the last Tuesday of the month. The class is at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time, and whatever the hell time it is where you are. If you are a member of Aloft, do nothing, because you will be sent an invitation for the class on July 28th. Dina, thank you so much for posting that link in the Facebook comments. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. If you're looking to join Aloft, folks, you can just click right on the link that Dina posted. Thank you very much for that. If you are not a member of Aloft, it's not a problem. You can do one of two things. You can either join Aloft, but if you're the non-committal type, you can go to the Orange Store at floatconvention.com/orange store. That's orange like the color, store like the retail. flowconvention.com/orange store. You can sign up today for this class. It's only $25. The $25 fee gets you live access to the class, so you get to be at the class in person. And if you can't attend the class, you do get a free digital download of the class when it is over and edited. Mind you, my deadline date for that is August 10th. So keep in mind that that's how this works. Basically, I have until the 10th of the following month, ethically speaking, to get it done. We know how well that went in May, but we're not going to talk about that. I'm not going to beat myself up anymore. Speaking of which, I'm thrilled to share with you that our May class, Avoiding Business Burnout with Charessa Sawyer, is officially now uploaded onto both the Orange Store and the Aloft streaming program. So if you missed this live class in May and want to learn about how to avoid getting yourself in a position like I was in last week or so, yeah, I was just exhausted is what I was. But if you are, mental health is a real thing, and it's a very important thing. And so with that being said, this class was a great way to kind of address that and talk about it and get the conversation flowing. So this class is now available free of charge to all of our members in the replay option. You just log into your Aloft account and go to the Aloft virtual classes, and you'll find it there. You will also find, I'm very happy to share with you that our class from June has also been edited down and brought into the mix. I did change the name of the class a little bit. I can't believe I didn't think of this myself the first time around. Converting customers into clients. Come on now, Steve. Again, alliteration is a thing. With our own Stacy Chase. I was unable to attend the live class. Many of you remember that the good Mr. Tony Cooper hosted for me. And I'm very thankful he did. And I loved the class. I just watched it back while I was editing it. It's a great class. There's so many nuggets in that class. And by the way, Stacy, I want to thank you very much for acknowledging my podcast. That was very kind of you. Not once, but twice. She referenced stuff that she picked up on my podcast episode about that. So thank you. I would really appreciate that. I'm glad to know somebody's actually listening to it. So yeah, that was great. So both of these classes, both Charessa's class and Stacy's class, are now available live and for I'm sorry. Let me try it again. Both of these classes are available for free with unlimited streaming to all of our members of Aloft Streaming. So just log into your account and check out these classes today. Jenny West, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Speaking of the Rubber Bubble podcast, bam! Happy to share with you that a new episode of the Rubber Bubble podcast, episode 24, another installment of El Trabajo del Diablo, will be coming your way later this week. The episode, in fact, is recorded. It's all done. It's being edited down, and then it'll be sent over to the web guys probably tomorrow. So episode 24 of the Rubber Bubble podcast will be available. Keep in mind, this particular episode is, of course, one of those, every 6 episodes or so, we do like a retro where we go back and we look at a job that was either a living nightmare or whatever. And well, in many cases, it was problematic, to say the least. And so the loose interpretation of El Trabajo del Diablo is jobs from hell, basically. If you recall correctly, about 6 months or so ago, we did an episode called The Surprise Party, first edition. This is the Surprise Party second edition. This is a second surprise party that we were hired for. And this one came with one of the biggest challenges we've ever had to face in the balloon industry. In my 29 years, without question, it was probably one of the single biggest challenges we ever had to overcome. So that episode will be up running later this week, and I look forward to your feedback. And please remember, by the way, I do look forward to getting your feedback on these episodes. If there's a topic that you're interested in being covered, I would love to know about it. If you disagree with me on a particular topic, I would love to know about that too. Every once in a blue moon, I hear from somebody who says, oh yeah, that was a really good point you made or something. But I would love more feedback. So if you're actually listening to the episodes, I would really appreciate it. Any feedback you have would be great. Really would. That admittedly, that is the biggest problem with our podcast. And that is something that I am addressing moving forward, is that right now there is no way to actually know how many people listen to it, which is crazy, right? Doesn't make any sense. But apparently there's no way to know. I find that I'm still not convinced that's true. That's what I've been told, but we'll see. So anyway, like I said, that should hopefully be up and running Monday or Tuesday. I look forward to announcing it once it's ready to go for all of you. I also want to take this second to remind you that if you are not currently a member of Aloft, but you are planning to go to Float 2026, you really should consider joining Aloft prior to the convention, because there are many member benefits of Aloft members that you're going to be getting at Float. The bullet points that are listed here: early VIP access into the vendor showcase on Sunday, 24-hour advanced access to general class registration, express lane for check-in at the Float registration desk. This is an exclusive benefit only available to Aloft members. You'll get to reserve your seating at the Designer Awards Gala, and you get a 10% discount off of all Float merchandise. There are more benefits coming, by the way. We just can't announce them yet. A lot of this will have to do with the results of our sponsorship packages and things like that, but there are more benefits coming. So there's that. But I do want to expand just very briefly on what some of these mean for you. Like early VIP access into the vendor showcase on Sunday. The vendor showcase opens up for everyone at 11 a.m. on Sunday morning, January 25th in Reno. Aloft members and flotation pass holders will actually get to enter the vendor showcase at 9 a.m. So you will get 2-hour head start ahead of everybody else. In addition to that, this year will be the first time ever we are going to be doing enrollment for the classes, the general classes, online. As a result of which, those of you that are members of Aloft will get 24 hours advanced access to pick your classes. What does that mean? Well, let's say that being Float Friday, classes open at noon on Friday. But if you're an Aloft member, you'll get to start picking your classes and signing up on Thursday at 12 noon. So you get ahead by 24 hours. So basically what it means is you're pretty much guaranteed to get the classes you want at Float. The express lane for check-in, what that means is on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Float registration desk, there will be an exclusive line just for Aloft members. So if you're a member of Aloft and you signed up for the convention in time, your information will be there so you don't have to wait in a general line. Again, doesn't do this all day. Reserve seating at the Designer Awards Gala. If you, as we all know, it's open seating at the gala unless you're with a sponsor or something like that. If you're a member of Aloft, you get to reserve your hand-picked seat before the event. You'll be able to do it there at the convention. You won't be doing it in advance. You'll do it at the registration desk there at Float. And of course, 10% off, 10% discount on all Float merchandise. The reason we're bringing this up now, aside from the fact that my dog is losing his mind with this ball, is that and just literally destroying any sense of organization I had in these piles over here. The shelving units are coming apart. I can't. The reason I'm bringing this up is because the Orange Store is going to start offering some Float merch now. One of the great things about direct-to-film printing, the direct-to-fabric, direct-to whatever they call it. Some places they call it different things. But one of the great things about that now is that I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm really not. But the great thing about it is it does mean that you can produce a lot more materials now for less. You don't have to buy as many. In order to buy a t-shirt, like if you want to give away, if you want to sell a t-shirt, in order to get it at a price that you are, really happy with, you got to buy hundreds, if not thousands of them. But the problem is there just aren't that many people at Float that are going to buy a lot of merchandise. So the idea is pretty simple. What we'll do now is we'll order smaller amounts with the direct to film concept. And in that way, the merch will be in the orange store. You can buy it in advance. We'll ship it out to you. Everything's fine. That way you'll have it. You can post it. You can do whatever you want to do. You'll get your merch before other people do. Now, whatever's left over, I'm bringing to the convention, right? But keep in mind, if we sell out of your size, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to buy more of it. Once we buy it, we're buying it, and that's it. So these are all things to think about. Now, other things like hats or stuff like that, you can't really do that with. You have to kind of buy them in quantities in order for it to actually work. So it'll be fun, but we'll see. But anyway, so your 10% discount would apply to stuff you buy in the orange store as well. So whether you're buying it at Float at the orange store or if you're buying it online, the 10% discount will apply. Stacy Chase, how are the registration numbers for Float now? Numbers haven't really changed much at all in the last month. We're still over 300 attendees. We're still over 300 academic and activity attendees. Again, with sponsors and everybody else, we're at probably about 500 people. I don't expect these numbers to move a lot right now because, number one, you have to keep in mind those individuals that are signing up for the payment plan program do not get counted as registered until they have completed the payment. So those people don't count in the mix, right? And right now there's only a couple of people that have signed up for the payment plan anyway. The $300 non-refundable fee has chased a lot of people away from that, which is kind of the point. On top of that, until there is another rush for people to sign up, like another deadline or whatever, I don't see us getting another surge anytime soon because we're still 7 months away from the convention. The big rush that we experienced, of course, was right before the first payment, before the payment discounts, right? People that were signing up for the returning rate, the rapid return rate of Float, there was a massive influx of people like the last day of that. When we ended the discount in May, on May 31st was the last day to get the early bird price. Naturally, there was a huge wave of people that were signing up for that. The international rate doesn't expire till January, so I don't see the internationals necessarily rushing to sign up right away. And we've talked about for the last couple of weeks that there will be a coupon program going out. It was originally going out this month, but we decided to go out next month because we didn't want to conflict with the payment plan deadline because we knew that people were going to talk about that. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Stacy, we just set up a store and they have a great monthly shipping and discount incentive with Printful and saved us over $200 on our employee shirt order. Yeah, I'm not, to be honest with you though, I'm not really interested in a lot of that type stuff. Most of what I've researched so far, I mean, I'm not trying to be greedy, but at the end of the day, there's very little markup in it. Like because you're not making the commitment to it. And it's not that I'm trying to make profit from it, but I'm also not trying to break even on it. So, this is intended to be a revenue generator for the convention. So, it'll be interesting to see. But what I do like about it is the fact that I like that we can offer, we could literally come up with 6 different styles of shirts. It reminds me of when we were during COVID. For those of you that were around the Floativerse during COVID, we actually we had a lot of downtime. We got very creative. We started having, we had shirts made up. We were pre-order shirts. Like I'd rather hear from Roscoe, right? When Roscoe was alive, then there was a few people that bought the Roscoe shirt. We had some, organized chaos shirts that were fine. We had some other stuff. We had some that didn't go over, and that was part of the reason why, we're kind of glad, okay, we made this very non-committal. But at the end of the day, that's kind of the idea. So, it reminds me a lot of like I watch a lot of like pop culture channels on YouTube. Like I'm a big Star Wars fan and a big Marvel universe fan, and so I'll watch Screen Crush or I'll watch New Rock Stars, whatever. They're always promoting shirts that they designed and stuff. So and it seems like a decent idea. I just thought, you know what, let's try it again. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So there's that. So we'll see. But thank you. I have not heard of that company. I will look into it. Part of the problem, though, too, in all sincerity, is the one thing that people have always praised us about is that the quality of our shirts. Like, we don't get cheapy, crappy t-shirts. We tend to do decent quality shirts with our printing. So I like knowing that I have that ability and that control. But I will say that I did just request a sample of a bucket hat that I'm really interested in getting done. So we'll see. It reminds me of when I was in high school, and that was my look. It was actually bucket hats back then were fishing hats. That was my look, my go-to. So there we go. But that's another conversation for another day entirely. All right, let's talk about Reno. Let's talk about Reno. Very excited. I, again, can't wait. To those of you that are sponsors, I know it's coming, guys. 1 week from tomorrow, come hell or high water, the Decor and Function sponsorship packet will be sent out. That sponsor packet, however, we're going to drop it on the 14th. We're going to probably open it on the 16th. Again, we want people to have an opportunity to digest the packet, to read through it, to look over it. And then a couple days later, we'll drop the link to where you can sign up for all the stuff. So that's basically how it's going to work. It is going to be for sure a challenge, without question. But yeah, it's a thing. So yeah, but we'll be working on it. And like I said, there's a few last minute things I'm trying to get added into it. We're very excited about some of the options that are available this year. A lot of the standard stuff is there. But there's also going to be a lot of new stuff there that you haven't seen before and haven't had an opportunity to be part of before. And I, for one, am very excited. So there's that. Okay. Now, one of the nice things about having Ryan here a couple weeks ago, Ryan has graciously taken over the role as our competition director at Float, along with Laurel Schultz, who'll be working with him as his assistant. One of the topics of conversation was the entrance decor competition that'll be taking place at Float. The tree trunk rule is still in effect. The difference is it will now go to 5 feet rather than 3 feet. So for those of you that are planning to compete in the entrance decor competition at Float, instead of a 3 foot by 13 foot footprint this year, you now have a 5 foot by 3 foot footprint. That can then again expand beyond that once you get to the 5 foot mark elevated wise. The reason why we had to keep this so narrow before is because when we were in St. Louis, and then again when we were in Chicago, the locations of these competition pieces were in very narrow corridors. We just didn't have a lot of room. So we couldn't go 2 or 3 more feet into the aisle because then we're blocking the aisle, for crying out loud. So that's why we had to stick with the narrow 3 foot by 13 foot, system. But now, based upon the new location, there will be more room around where these pieces are going to be. Now, where these pieces are going to go is still yet to be finalized. Right now, the plan is to put them in the Reno Ballroom, but that may change. But if it does, it won't matter because the 5 foot isn't going to have an impact on this at all. So we're happy to share with you that we have expanded that rule so that then we have less problems. Now, again, it ain't going beyond that. I do want to remind everybody also that, as we talked about earlier, the Float Payment Plan program ends on July 31st. So that's the end of this month. So if you are interested in signing up for Float but not coughing up all the money right now, you can do so using a 6-payment plan. Please note the registration fee is $7.95 if you wish to partake in the payment plan structure. You don't get the current price of $6.95 with the payment plan. And that has apparently been frustrating a lot of people, but I don't care. Payment plans come with higher risk. That's why it is. That's why you're paying more, because a lot of you will not complete the payment plan. It's that simple. So the idea is to scare off the people who aren't really serious about it. Okay. But that payment plan ends on July 31st. You can learn more about it at floatconvention.com/pricing. There you go. Yeah, forgive that. I forgot to delete that previous slide out. So that's there. So that's why it's there. Hello, Dominique Chambers. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Okay, now it's time, in speaking of the world of Marvel and all the other stuff, now is the time to get to our street level float content. And we start off, as always, with today's Step Chat survey. For those of you that are members of the Float Facebook group, every time we run an episode of Step, well, almost every time, I try to do a survey question to kind of take your temperature and find out things, how you're feeling about a certain topic or whatever when it comes to conventions, education, that kind of thing. Today's topic of conversation had a lot to do with conversations I was having with people about travel. For the first time in the history of Float, it is more challenging to get to the convention. What do I mean? Well, Reno is not exactly a hub, right? It's not like Chicago. It's not like you're flying into LAX. It's not like you're flying into even St. Louis to a degree. There are very few direct flights that go to Reno, which means you're taking accommodations. And I've been hearing nothing but people griping and moaning, which we knew we would hear. But again, if you want Float to remain the price point that it is, if you want Float to keep getting bigger like it is, you got to accept these kinds of realities. We had to find a place big enough with a footprint that we could afford, right? And that meant, sorry if you have to make a connecting flight. I am sorry if you have to make a connecting flight, but it's the reality of this business. But I digress. It occurred to me, however, in talking to some other people, that there's several different opinions on this topic. So today's question was, when it comes to choosing a convention, how much of a decision does travel make in your planning? Like, how much of a decision does the cost of travel make when it comes to whether or not you decide to go? And the questions were, or the answers I should say were, it doesn't. If I want to go to the event, I'm going to go to the event no matter what it costs me to get there. I will only go to an event if I can drive there. If I can't drive to it, I'm not going. One was, if it's within the continental US, then I'm fine. Doesn't really care. And I will not book until I evaluate what it's going to cost me to get there. And so I really had no idea where this was going. And again, I do think to some degree the results are this is definitely a decorator results. If I was asking this to a group of twisters, I might have gotten a different answer. But the survey results at this point, pretty much half of you, 54% said travel costs have nothing to do with whether or not I will attend a particular convention. So in that regard, that's good to know. I'm not suggesting that I'm going to relocate Float to Iceland yet. Kidding. But that is good to know, because I think, in all sincerity, I think a lot of people, that's how most people look at it. I, for one, I mean, my whole attitude about it is like, look, we keep the price of Float so low to begin with. Yeah, if you have to pay a little more to go, I get it. And I understand why you're upset about it, but I think you'll agree in the end it's worth it. I was surprised to see I won't register for a convention until I see how much it costs me to get there. And the reason I say why I'm so surprised at that number at 27% is because of the fact that so many people sign up for Float and then cancel because, I didn't realize it was going to cost me so much to get there. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how many people will cancel and say, I didn't realize I had to fly there. Really? And I'm not even talking about Reno. I'm talking about past conventions. Like, dude, the convention is in Chicago and you live in Albuquerque. You really thought You didn't have to fly to get there? I mean, it's that I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just picking a random city. But you see where I'm getting at. Just kind of crazy. Um, only two people at the time of the survey actually said, if I can't drive, I'm not going. And one of the individuals that responded doesn't go to float anyway. So it was like, in that regard, I found that interesting. But again, that is the downside of these surveys, is that the results are somewhat skewed by the individuals that respond. So, like, for example, we'll get answers from people that have never even been to float. But again, that's why I do try to keep a lot of these questions more neutrally based, not so much float specific as much as they are neutrally based. So that way you have an opportunity to answer more of a generalization kind of thing. So there we go. So I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for participating in today's survey. Thank you very much for that. Once again, I do want to remind everybody that the Floativerse is on YouTube. We are found at youtube.com/@the It is time for my monthly gripe, my monthly event. The last week's episode of Step Chat on Facebook had over 600 eyeballs on it. Now, keep in mind, I am very well aware that does not mean that 600 people sat and watched the entire episode. But it does mean that 600 and something people watched it for at least a little bit. The results from YouTube are less than exemplary. And again, I am really starting to wonder why we are going to the trouble of making a summary episode when, literally less than a dozen people a week are watching it. My argument has always been that you could treat Step Chat like a podcast episode. You could just literally run it and listen to it while you're working or doing whatever. And yeah, I can't lie. I am really starting to question why we're doing the summary episodes. But because we are doing the summary episodes, don't forget that the Step Chat schedule is as follows. Obviously, we're doing the live show here tonight on Sunday. Tomorrow, sometime tomorrow morning, the full recording of tonight's episode will be uploaded to the YouTube channel. And then on Tuesday, the summary episode will be available. Remember, the summary episode is basically a 15, 20-minute breakdown of everything we talked about. Obviously, we skip a lot of stuff. We don't necessarily go into a lot of the minutia because it's only 10 to 20 minutes long. But again, for those of you with short attention spans and just can't stand the sound of my voice that long, I get it. I have ex-wives. I get it. So there's that. So that'll be available on Tuesday. But again, I am asking that for those of you that have been asking for the summary, I would really appreciate if you'd start watching it because, like I said, I'm starting to question whether or not it's worth the effort. So there's that. Also want to remind everybody that 1 week from tomorrow, or as we like to say in special, mañana, is our next episode of La Familia Float con Pia Guadalupe. Pia's guest this month is Alessandro Batanye from Spain. He is going to be one of our masterclass instructors at Float, and she's going to be interviewing him during the course of the show. So join us on Monday, July 14th. Now, again, please remember the episode is broadcast in Spanish. So if you do not speak Spanish, get out of the damn berg. I don't know what... There is a bag of Qualitex spooky face prints, ghosts, and pumpkins, and vampires laying on the ground, and somebody proud as punch is sitting here trying to get into the bag and shake it all over the room. No, you can't do that. So there's that. Sorry. Alessandro, Pia will be interviewing Alessandro. Please remember that the episode is broadcast in Spanish. So please don't yell at me later that you couldn't understand anything because it wasn't in English, because it ain't going to be in English. The name gives it away, folks. La Familia Float con Pia Guadalupe. That will be on Monday, July 14th. That'll be at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, and whatever the hell time it is where you are. So we look forward to that. And also don't forget that La Familia Float will be simulcast both on Facebook and on Instagram. The show will be done on Instagram through Pia Guadalupe's feed, and it'll be through my account on Facebook here on the page. Natasha, I have a suggestion for you regarding YouTube. I will message you. I would appreciate that. Thank you. And then once again, every Tuesday night is Kick It Back with Lisa Mack. Wrong. As has been pointed out earlier in the show, Lisa McIntyre is actually at the Tough Text Experience this week. Very last minute kind of thing. Like apparently an opportunity fell into her lap. Too good to pass up. So she went. And apparently the Tuesday night function is not taking place at the hotel. I guess it's something off property. So with that being said, Lisa is very unsure whether or not she's going to be able to host the show. So she reached out and said, hey, Steve, could you possibly cover for me? I'd greatly appreciate it. And turns out this Tuesday I can. So yours truly will be taking over for Lisa McIntyre this week on Kick It Back Without Lisa Mack. That'll be Tuesday night, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Make me feel it. And whatever the hell time it is where you are. For those of you that are unfamiliar, Kick It Back with Lisa Mack is our virtual happy hour. It's like a live talk show kind of thing where you get to be the special guest on the show. It's done through Zoom. The link will be posted. Actually, though, this time around, because I have problem. For some reason, I can't get Zoom to work anymore in Facebook. So I'll be doing it here on StreamYard. Anybody can be on the call. I'll post the link in the Float the Facebook group. You'll use the link to get on the call with us. And then once you're there. The first hour of the show is broadcast live on Facebook. So we'll have comments and all kinds of things going on there. And then after that's done, after that, we go into what's called after party mode. Now, to be completely transparent, because of the schedule of my day on Wednesday, I don't know that I will continue much of after party mode, but I'm sure we can pass over to somebody. I don't know how that works with StreamYard. I'll have to find out. But there we go. So yeah, you're welcome to join us. We'd love to have you. Dominique, there you go. Whatever the hell time it is where you are. Joette, greetings from Nashville. Looking forward to seeing many of you in Ohio tomorrow. There you go. Another float-tastic person headed to the Tough Text Experience. So there you go. Like I said, I for one, I think it's going to be fabulous. I do. Allison Will, just about everything she touches is fabulous. So I'm looking forward to seeing pictures. I'm very excited to see what people have to say about it. So yeah, there's that. And with that being said, folks, that will do it for tonight's episode of Step Chat. So there we go. All right. So just a few minutes before 7 o'clock my time. Hello, Sandy Presley. How are you? Good to see you. One of our fabulous Flow crew members joining us very late in the call, but thank you for being here nonetheless. So with that being said, while my dog basically has a complete and utter meltdown playing with a ball, let's we'll open the floor to questions. If anybody's got any questions for the live Q&A, I'm happy to address it. If not, we'll call it a night, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. But yeah, there we go. Like I said, very happy that July is here. Very happy. Don't get me wrong. Very glad that June was as busy as it was, and Lord knows we needed it. We had a very disappointing May. So having a great, almost record June was fabulous because it helped us, get back to where we were. Loved your Playing for Pride. Thank you very much. I actually can't. I have to share love on that one. While that is my design, I've made it. I've made it before multiple times. I must honestly confess that entire plane was built from scratch. Not from scratch. Sorry. Let's try that again. That entire plane, while based on my previous designs, was built entirely by Ryan while he was here. That's the great thing about bringing somebody like Ryan here during Pride Month. because he can look at a picture of something I've built, or he can look at something that we've done before, and he'll go, okay, just what are the sizes that I need? Like, what size is this? And okay, that's a 0.8, that's a 0.4, that's a 0.2. Okay, got it. And then he can just go with it. And again, while I'm sitting there doing deliveries and dealing with customers and all that other stuff, he's progressing the Pride Parade stuff. So I love having a really, really strong twister in here that understands the concepts of working with bubbles and everything else, because that's ultimately what we're doing. So yeah, the plane, I will admit, was a bit of a problem at the parade, only because at some point they shut down the parade this year for an hour. I still don't know why. I guess I just haven't Googled it yet to find out what happened. But apparently for an hour, the parade was shut down at one point. And because I'm sitting there going, it's like 1:30. Why in the hell are these people still standing here? Like, because our staging location is about midway. So the parade lines up for about a dozen or so city blocks of downtown Seattle. And we're staged right about the 6th or 7th block. So we're pretty much right in the middle. What we do is we get in very early in the morning, and we park in a pay-for parking lot, open air lot. And because we're there at 6 something in the morning and they shut the roads down at like 8, we're it. Like, there's nobody else in this parking lot. We have this entire parking lot to ourselves. Excuse me. And so, and it's midway, it's halfway in the staging area. So basically everybody can easily get to us and get their stuff. The problem is, in this particular case, that plane was made for Delta Airlines, and they are literally in our block. They're like right in front of us practically. So I told them, just leave it here. There's no sense in you going to get it to take it and go stand over there with it. You might as well just leave it here. And then when you're ready for it, come get it, go out into the parade route. Well, there is one downside to that theory. To be honest, it would have been a downside no matter where they went. It was about 85 degrees that day in Seattle. Now, what a lot of you don't realize is, for Seattle, that is tremendously hot. I know you're laughing at me because some of you were dealing with 105 degrees and everything else. But when your average temperature is in the 50s here, 85 degrees can kill people on these streets. Not me, but, some of these people. And unfortunately, at the time frame between, in the morning, we had it in the shade of a tree, and it was sitting there. But within an hour of that point, the sun is moving, the shade's going away, and there you go. And then we're kind of stuck, right? So now this plane is sitting in direct sunlight. Murphy, everybody. Who, by the way, is also getting a shave this month. So, yay. So the plane is in direct sunlight, just getting the crap beat out of it, right? And of course, the plane had black windows down both sides. And it's Delta, so it's got like a royal blue in the tail and everything else in the whole bit. And then at one point, literally just like bam, 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 bam. Like, all the windows are going, the tail's starting to go. Even some of the white balloons are starting to pop, which is odd. And so I'm up there literally like, I know, big story. I was up there like replacing everything. And at one point I just decided, look, we've already swapped out like a third of these windows. This thing sits here for another 10 minutes. We're going to be replacing all of them. So let's just do it all. So we literally just pop. And then we're swapping out. We did them in 6-inch. Now we're doing them in 12-inch. And that worked a lot better. By the time it came back to us, most of those, I think we only lost one window at that point. But yeah, so yeah, it was fun. Except this little bugger here discovered what I pretty much suspected to begin with. Ryan had the great idea of, let's take these Uber scooters that are next to us, and ride back, because at the end, see, we're at the start of the parade route, and A to the L to the EXA and Teresa Harding, we're at the other end of the route. Which, of course, what happens is we then have to go, because we can't leave. The vehicles have to stay. The parade is still, they're still staging the parade through. So we, at that point, basically we take an Uber or whatever, we get to the other end of the parade route, and then we catch up with A to the L to the EXA and Teresa. If they need help with stuff, we help with popping, we help with directing people, we help with all that stuff. But with him, there's only so much I can really do now. But it's fine, because he's down there at the parade route too, because I can't leave him unattended for 12 hours. And the parade route is an actual job I can bring him to. Well, what we discovered very quickly, and what I already suspected, is that he will not sit in an e-bike basket. And we got 30 feet off the track, and boing, somebody's jumping out as the bike is moving. And I'm like, that's it, we're done. I was afraid he was going to break his leg crashing out of this thing. Didn't you? Didn't you? Didn't you? Yes. So, needless to say, while Ryan got to enjoy a scooter ride all the way back to the Space Needle, somebody and I had a lot of walking to do. Right? Yep, it's okay. I still love you. It's all good. So there you go. So yeah, we had a very long and eventful walk. So there you go. Okay. Well, I am not seeing any questions or anything like that. So I guess we're going to call it a night. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you being here. I'll see some of you on Tuesday night with Kicking Back without Lisa Mack. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all next week. And again, don't forget, if you can't imagine why, you probably got enough of me already, but new episode of Rubber Bubble coming out this week. So look for that as well for all of our Loft members. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.